Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa to take a look today is the Archvillain's Dying Nanny, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 84 on. Its main character is Sarah Millen, an individual living in a fantasy world where magic is quite rare. But of course, she is one of those few that wield it. Even more so, she's actually a Grand Elder and Tower Master of the mysterious magic tower in this particular world. Sarah, though, has a secret. Due to splitting her soul, her other half is actually someone living in modern-day Korea, and this identity has written a story about the lives of people in Sarah Millen's life, specifically describing people and events surrounding the Ambrosia family, who currently houses Cloud and Ethan Ambrosia, a father-son duo. Feeling responsible due to some initial lingering mysteries, Sarah volunteers herself to be the nanny of Claude. Things, though, will not be as easy as her double past, and that events of moving forward will be challenging, to say the least. The story is 9 out of 10. This manhwa presents a unique spin on having another life in a fantasy world or a modern one. Sarah having two lives is initially explained, but complications will face her. The pacing and overall direction has a good foundation and is able to deliver given enough time. The characters are also 9 out of 10. From the cute Cloud, who gets attached to Sarah, to Ethan, the father and the one who is wholly aware of just how scary the family power is, Sarah, whose guilt and feelings of responsibility move her own actions, to the various other characters, there is an abundant amount of development in both positive and negative directions. The art is 8 out of 10. These developments of the characters are shown very well through the alternate cute art, in addition to the actual facial expressions that give a good sense of the emotional state of these people. The fact that we get potential magic scenes, since Sarah is a mage herself, also bumps it up a little bit in my book. The first chapter scene is actually a great intro for this. So if you enjoy fantasy childcare manhwas like A Simple Guide to Surviving as a Stepmom and I Became the Mother of the Evil Male Lead from my previous videos, then fans of the genre would enjoy the Archvillain's Dying Nanny. This next manhwa to take a look at is My Bias Gets on the Last Train, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 44 on. The protagonist of this tale is Lee Yo-woon, an individual living in modern-day Korea that is going through university while balancing a part-time job at a cafe that he usually closes for. Due to this particular situation, he always gets on the last train home, and for the last period of time at least that he's noticed this one particular female with a guitar that usually seems to catch the last train similar to him. On one random day though, Yoon is actually able to start talking to her, to which she introduces herself as Shin Hae-in, and that she works at a recording studio and usually closes as well. They talk and it comes out that Yoon is a fan of a particular indie artist by the name of Long Afternoon. Weirdly enough though, Hae-in is that Long Afternoon, but does not inform Yoon about it. We see where this is going, right? The story is 7 out of 10. I would personally categorize this manhwa as a more of a young adult romance. It evokes an atmosphere that seems familiar to K-dramas. The music overtone allows for a true relationship to be formed, and while things can be fast, it's also able to build it up slowly, and put some interesting barriers for our main couple. The characters are 8 out of 10. Considering the ages of these people, which is about early to mid-20s, it makes sense that there is some impressionability and almost immaturity in some of their responses, assumptions, actions, and reactions to what they see. Both Yoon and Hae-in have a lot of room for growth and will need to do so before they are a fit for each other, probably. The art is 7 out of 10. The overall art style is actually quite nice and colorful. The expressions and emotions can be interpreted as subtle, yet also clear depending on the circumstance and scene. In other moments, to put it bluntly, it's also quite suggestive, which, while not surprising, is my warning to you now. So if you enjoy modern romance manhwas like We're Not Dating from my previous videos, but wanted more serious romance instead of a comedic one, My Bias Gets on the Last Train has some promise that may develop to something more if given the time. I Became a Swordsmanship Instructor at the Academy is the next manhwa to take a look at, a Reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 32 on. Lee Min-chan is the name of its main character, or at least initially. You see, he's a third-rate author living in modern Korea, but somehow he found himself in the presence of King Yom-ra, the judger of sins in Korean folklore. With his luckiness though, he is given the opportunity to reincarnate, to which Min-chan chooses to be reincarnated into a novel that he was reading but 2 years before the events of said novel, without specifying of course who he was reincarnated as. Finding himself to not be reincarnated as the protagonist, he reincarnates instead as Kang Shin-hyuk, a teacher at the academy that serves as the main setting of the novel. Wanting to just live a normal life, Min-chan, now as Shin-hyuk, might just have landed the best life. Or has he? The potential is 8 out of 10. Reincarnating into a novel as a side character is not a new concept. This title in particular though immediately goes through the butterfly effects and hidden backstory of Kang Shin-hyuk that wasn't revealed in any way in the original work. Just how far will it bend, and what will be the state of the world once the events of the original begin? The art is 7 out of 10. So far, it hasn't shown any particular strengths or weaknesses with regards to its style. For now, I'll keep an eye on it and see if it will evolve further and which direction it truly wishes to take, a more comedic or more serious as it develops. And considering it's more of a martial arts than a fantasy world, we'll see where it goes. So if you're a fan of Reincarnation manhwas, and specifically those that have the main character dive into the events of a novel, which there are numerous on my channel, then I Became a Swordsmanship Instructor at the Academy has some promise that could be interesting if given enough space. Our other shorter story for this week is The White Tower's Rogue Mage, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 27 on. The focus of this tale is Oscar Sage, a mage who was the head of the White Tower who made the ultimate sacrifice to save the world, thinking that he was leaving it in good hands with his friends and disciples. Once he closed his eyes though, he wakes up in another person's body, specifically that of Oscar Crucian. Realizing what has happened to him, he familiarizes himself with the situation at hand, and he notes that it's been 20 years since his action as Oscar Sage. Oscar Crucian himself is a level 1 white mage, a level of magic that is considered quite useless, and the White Tower is at the bottom of the tower hierarchy. Now, it's time to fix things. The potential is 7 out of 10. Waking up 20 years later to find that your legacy is going down the drain is a quite mind-boggling situation for anybody, including Oscar Sage. Now, he has to restore the White Tower back on its path and change the current opinion of both himself and the tower. With more time, I expect that things will actually start having stakes, but so far, it's a good build-up with an initial focus on commerce due to the White Tower's initial financial difficulties. The art is also 7 out of 10. Illustrating the change of 20 years, the world is clearly going through some sort of magical industrial revolution that Oscar wants to tap into to benefit his own White Tower. While there's no combat yet, this art score can easily improve once I see more aspects of it, because it actually has an essence of something that is actually quite interesting. So if you enjoy fantasy manhwas where a main character sees the world after a set period of time after their death, similar to my blasted reincarnated life which is sadly still on hiatus and the highlight of today's video, then the White Tower's Rogue Mage definitely has some promise that would be good to keep on your radar. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video. Our highlight today is The Art of Reincarnation, which I've now read up to chapter 154 on. Info card description will have links to my original opinion. Vincent Adensa, of course, is our main character, and like I talked about previously, he's been reincarnated in the future of his own world, and Vincent has been slowly but surely growing stronger to face the threats that lay in his way to unfold the truth of his original life as David Samian. Since having last covered this manhwa, he has gone through quite a lot, but now he has to face the family politics within the Adensa family head first. However, whilst on his journey previously, he has made some friends and also some enemies. His friends, of course, are like that of his sister Hannah, to which is contrasted by that of his brother Carmen, who is now the current antagonist that is front and center. Will he have the strength to carry through and find out the reason why he's in the Adensa family, or will we have to wait another 100 some odd chapters for any development of the overall plot? My previous scores for this manhwa were 10 out of 10 for art and 8 out of 10 for characters and story. The art stays the same at 10 out of 10 as this manhwa keeps that same style of displaying power and combat that I talked about so much previously. Some people though may still find it a little much or not for them, but overall I would say it appeases most action enjoyers. The characters also stay the same at 8 out of 10, as the characters were introduced since long ago are still the same ones we have. But now, the characters, aside from Vincent, have some chance to shine because of the slightly slower pacing. The Adensa family struggles and even Vincent's own struggles, though, are the main highlight, which is a good way to actually start talking about the story as it goes up to 9 out of 10. Honestly, while it's a much slower pace now and honestly transitioning to more of a slow burn type of story, the manhwa itself is so engrossing that I don't find myself minding that overall plot point is not developing quickly. We have time to slow down, focus on Vincent's current predicament, and approach a solution, albeit with some time skips here and there. The art of Reincarnation has truly quite an interesting art style. Fans of the action genre would definitely find enjoyment in reading this work if the art style suits your fancy from the art preview portion. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on this manhwa. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the summary portion of the Art of Reincarnation from today's video, please put a like and a comment down below. Otherwise, comment down below what you've been reading and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.